Hello and welcome to Dad's of Adventure podcast. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, thank you, and we'd like for you to review and rate us on that podcast app. We really appreciate that. That helps us to get the brand out even more. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're listening, come over to YouTube and catch us on the DreamsMagicAdventure channel, and we would love to have you there as well. Also, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at Dads of Adventure, and check out the Dads of Adventure website, which is dadsofadventure.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter and our membership site. So I'll be talking a little bit more about the membership site throughout the week here. So I won't talk too much about it right now, but we'd love to have you be a part of it. And this is a special series for Father's Day. So it's kind of, I haven't given it a specific name, but I think I called it like Father's Day Extravaganza at some point. And what we're doing is just touching on some topics that deal with, Disney dads, and getting a chance as part of that to interview some awesome Disney dads that I've grown to know through some acquaintances here. And I'm here with Keith, who is AKA DADVenture Disney, and I'll let him introduce himself as well before we get started here.
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I love that our two site names are so close.
Yeah.
Because when I see us on a list, I always have to double check and see which one is you and which one is me. But I'm Keith, DADVenture Disney. I started this, we're just about coming up on a year, which is kind of cool. And it all stemmed from the planning and the absolute work that you have to do to put into a Disney trip. Because as opposed to people who live close and can go all the time, or venture club members, or, those people are fantastic, but we go every 4 or 5 years. And this is the first time we were going to go with our little kids. And so the amount of work that I did was like trying to get into MIT and take the entrance exam. So I started DADVenture Disney to share all that with people, because there seems to be a ton of mom sites out there for all kinds of things, but the dads, we are few and far between. And so it's important to see it from our view too. You can catch us on Instagram and Facebook at DADVenture Disney. And we were on Twitter. We're on Twitter. We have an account, but I honestly don't go over there that much because I get enraged by Twitter. So I focus on the Instagram and the Facebook as much as I can. And of course, our website is DADVentureDisney.com. And on every Tuesday, you're one of the group that we feature. We do a Disney parents panel where we do a top 10 of all things Disney parks and beyond every single Tuesday, which is how you and I met. Doing that. Right. So it's a lot of fun to be able to do that too.
Yeah, it's been great. I have to tell you, the Disney Parents Panel, I was just looking at, I was getting started with Instagram myself, for Dads of Adventure, and I'm trying to be careful not to label myself your name, because it is so close to almost said it there. But but I started noticing as I was, following different people's stuff, that there was like a group of people that seemed to be together, and then realized that, the parents panel was there, and, checked out your website, and there was a link to fill out to see if we could be a part of it. And I'm like, God, that sounds like a good idea. And so glad to be able to join. It is a real brain break for me, honestly, to be able to just come up with a list. I don't really do that much on like my podcast or things like that. So it's great to just come up with a list of Disney things. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. It's soothing to me for whatever reason. So
I agree.
Thank you for
my process is I sit there and I kind of just brain dump. And to me, what I love, no matter what, whether I'm doing my podcast or I'm doing the videos that I do on the YouTube channel, or I do the website or the blogs or Instagram, what I do is I brain dump on paper. I need to have paper, right? Oh, yeah, so I have these like moleskin notebooks. The one I'm currently using has R2-D2 on it, and I'm getting towards the end of it. It's making me sad because I'm going to lose my R2-D2. But I write everything down. And so when I get to these lists, I always try to do my own first before I send it out to the group of 14 or 15 of us, because I don't want to be influenced when people start sending in their answers. And so I brain dump, and it's so fun to be like, what's the best ride for a kid under 5? And you just sit there and you write down all these, these things, and you sit there and you're remembering these times, and you're like, oh, that's a great, I love that. Oh, that was so much fun. And I want everyone to try this, or this little piece of food that I found that was so great. All those kinds of things make it so much fun. Like you said, it kind of like gives you a brain. It's very, very zen to sit down and just kind of Disney out on your own, and then have this nice big list that then you have to, the hard part is getting it to 10.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be one you miss, but.
Well, I mean, for me, it's not like, normally when I'm doing those lists, I'll sit down and I'm at 15 or so pretty easily. And then I go back but yes, paper, I have to have a notebook. My brain, for whatever reason, and I didn't find this out until like after college, after I didn't do well in some classes, but my brain, like, I guess, realigned in college, where graph paper notebooks, like, that's my thing. I love Moleskine notebooks if I can find them, but it's hard to, and that's one of the few things that you can find in a in graph paper state, but that helps me arrange my brain a little bit on the paper there.
Perfect.
But but that's how I go about doing it. Is like, and my wife and I both do it for the parents panel. So I do the same thing. I create my list first, so I'm not influenced. But then when she says hers, I'm like, oh, I forgot about that one, but I already made my list. I'm sticking to it. So
right, you have to.
So definitely check out the Disney Parents Panel, at Disney Parents Panel on Instagram, and on the DADVenture Disney website. We've done I've done a few of them, but there's quite a few you can check out on the top 10s. And
I think we're pushing close to 30 now.
Yeah, it's getting it. I know it's in the 20s at least. So but Keith does a great job on each list of make sure you drill down into the list to see, some of the details on that as well. So, but so that's how we, kind of met. So one of the things that when I was looking through your list, I had a couple questions for you on some of I had pre-asked some questions, and so that there was some continuity that I wanted to go through on the Disney side. So I saw answers where you were talking about Disneyland and Disney World, and so I was curious, what points in your life, and if you want to throw in your favorite moments and stuff there too, you can.
Yeah.
But what points in your life were you more at Disneyland at one point, or more Disney World, or where you happen to live, or
I was always jealous, because every year you'd get back to school and the kids, the teachers would ask, what did you guys do this summer, right? And everyone would always, Disney World. I went to Disney World. I went to Disneyland. I went wherever. And my dad used to reenact the Revolutionary War. Like he was one of those like it's cosplay, but it's people from the Revolutionary War time. And so our summers would be like camping on hay somewhere at like Fort Ticonderoga. Like everyone else would come back with Mickey hats and kinds of cool stuff, and we had like a fife. That's what we came home with. So when I was in 6th grade, I remember vividly, my great aunt and uncle lived in Pasadena, California. I live in New England. I live in Connecticut.
Okay.
And as far away from Disneyland as you can pretty much get. But my great aunt and uncle lived out there. My grandparents decided to take my little brother and I to visit them right after Christmas, to see the Rose Bowl parade, the Pasadena Rose Bowl parade. And they took us to Disneyland one day. So that was my very first trip, was in 6th grade, to Disneyland. And so one of my favorite Disney memories ever is eating a churro, because there's a churro stand right outside the Haunted Mansion. And I was too scared in 6th grade. What are you, 11, 12, something like that in 6th grade? Yeah, I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll
too
go with
scary.
that. Yeah.
I didn't like anything that had to do with ghosts. Like they
Hmm.
terrified me because I had this great vivid imagination. So if I watched
Hmm.
any kind of ghost story or a movie with ghosts in it, like remember that old Disney movie Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
I recently
St. Patrick.
rewatched that. I loved that
Yeah,
as a kid. Like my dad got it for us and
yeah,
rented it when we had like the TV VCR combo in
mm-hmm.
our van, our
Yep,
conversion van,
yeah,
for trips. And I didn't remember it being terrifying, but when I watched it by myself, my wife and kids
yeah.
were somewhere else, and I just happened to be there on St. Patrick's Day by myself. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch this, and like this movie is terrifying. I'm glad that my kids see
Right.
this.
So that's the kind of movie, like it still sticks in my head. I don't think I've
Hmm.
watched it since I was little, but like a babysitter put it in the VCR once or something
Hmm.
to watch with us. And, and, um, and so like I'm like Haunted Mansion, there's
Hmm.
not a chance I'm going in there. And I was so excited that there was a churro stand. So I sat outside and had a churro with my grandmother while my grandfather took my little brother
Hmm.
into the Haunted Mansion. Now I've been on the Haunted Mansion a million times since then
Hmm.
and think to myself, stupid. It's more fun than it is haunted. Of course, it's Disney. But that was my first time going to Disney. And then not again. We grew up kind of meager, like Disney trips just weren't in the budget
Hmm.
what we were doing. But then when I was in high school, my marching band got invited to play at Epcot. So
Okay.
we took a bus from California to Florida, and we got to parade around Epcot. And there's something cool about, like, that guy who does the voice of Epcot, like the guy who's always like, "Welcome to Tomorrowland," blah 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 blah
Hmm.
blah blah. But so his voice was like, "And now parading through the internet, the International Gateway is the Shelton High School Marching Band." It's like, wow,
Yeah.
like the Epcot guy
Mm.
was saying. I remember going on the Maelstrom like 20 times because it was the only ride that was Epcot in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And then I went back a couple times with friends, just going in our 20s. My wife and I ended up going there on our honeymoon, which
Hmm.
was amazing. And just this past November, went back with my three kids who were 5, 3, and 1 at the time. And it's a totally different experience in such a good way. All the things that you love about Disney that all right, I don't have to go on this. I've gone on it 20 times, but I can't wait to see my kid's face when XYZ
Right.
happens. I think the greatest memory of that last trip was the first day we landed. We left our house at 2:30 in the morning
Hmm.
and took a stretch limo to the airport because our family SUV died the night before, and the only car I could get was a wedding company stretch limo to take us and our 3 car seats to the airport for the first flight of the day. We left at 2:30 in the morning. We landed. Rooms weren't ready, of course. And we went
Hmm.
right to the Magic Kingdom, and I kind of ran in front of them to take their picture as they turned that corner onto Main Street to see the castle.
Hmm.
And in my head, I had built up this great big thing that they were just going to be like, "Oh my gosh," and they're going to go nuts.
Hmm.
And then that happened. And I was so excited because I was so worried that I was building up this great thing that wasn't going to happen.
Hmm.
And they absolutely came through. And I mean, all 3 kids were magic from the minute we landed to the minute we left, which was just awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, that is always nice when the moment that you think of happening actually does happen, because there
Mm-hmm.
can be there can
Yeah,
be
it plays
times when
out.
it's
Yeah.
when it doesn't play out that way. But that's awesome. Yeah. And I was and I'm gonna I was mentioning on another one of the other interviews that, like, it doesn't seem to get, some of those things just don't get old. Like they're new every time. Like
Mm-hmm.
my kids, no matter how many, and I live a little closer, so I get to go a little bit more often, with the annual pass and such. But
Yeah.
every time that we pass under the gates and going into Disney World,
Mm-hmm.
um, my kids have normally been taking a nap, for the time that we were driving, and like their eyes like pop open as soon as we pass under that gate, and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Mickey, hey, hi, Donald." So it's cool that that's still, um, that's exciting for them each time that we're there. And
Yeah.
um, it doesn't matter how many times we go. They always want to ride the carousel. They always want to ride Small World, and whatever a variety of things, because it's like it's like doing it for the first time. So
yeah, it's great.
but well, cool. I was curious because I saw Disneyland and I saw Disney World, and I thought you were living up further up north too. So I was trying to triangulate exactly the details there.
I've been to Disneyland 4 times.
Okay.
So I went with that first trip in 6th grade. Then I was a corporate trainer in a previous life for Prudential, the insurance company. And so my job was actually to fly around the country to all the different hubs and train people how to use this new piece of software they had created for what we were doing. And one of our main hubs was in Anaheim. And so twice I got to go out to Anaheim, and both times I just went as myself, like single guy at Disney, which is an interesting phenomenon, because you're in line for something and it's taking way too long. You don't have to check with anyone. You just get up and leave. Like you get to make your own choices. But then it's weird, like when you're all sitting watching Fantasmic, on the river, and then like you're sitting there and this family with 3 little kids, and the little kid comes and sits next to you, and the mom's like, no. Let's stay away from the big lonely guy. like why is he sitting here by himself? So that was fun. And then my very best friend in the world, who actually wrote the theme song for my podcast and the videos that I do, he's a musician who lives in LA. I've gone out a couple times to visit him, and we always go to Disneyland. There was one day, it was the most famous day we've ever had together. We love it. It was such a low attendance that day, and I can't remember why or what time of year it was. It must have been in the fall, but we were able to get off of Pirates of the Caribbean and then walk right back onto the boat.
Oh,
and we did it. And we did it 5 times in a row. Okay. Like, and we were like, go again. We're like, how do we not? And so we got to the 5 times, and we were like, 5 times. We went 5 times. And that was really fun too. So, but I do like Disneyland. I've never been for California Adventure. I've never been there since that opened. But earlier than that, I've been a handful there, and then about twice as much traveling.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been there twice. We went on our way out for our adoption trip for our 10th anniversary. My wife surprised me. She told me we were leaving on a certain date, and when we got to Los Angeles, I was like getting ready to like take the bags to wherever we needed to go to get them on the international flight or whatever. And she had hidden like a shirt in the bag, and surprised me like, oh, we're going to Disneyland. I'm like, I just didn't know what to say. Like, I didn't know what to feel or anything like that, but it was a cool surprise. We were there for 2 days, and then before we headed over to China. So
great, good for you.
And then we went back for she's a travel planner, so we went back for a conference that her travel planning group had around Christmas time, which was pretty awesome. One of my favorite things is the Small World holidays. That is, I will go back at some point just for that. So
just that,
the overlays that they have there. But
cool.
Speaking to your Haunted Mansion thing, and what age you're supposed to be not afraid of things. I will have to say that the overlay that Disneyland does for Haunted Mansion Holiday with Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, I watched Nightmare Before Christmas a lot as a kid when it came out. I had the clamshell VHS tape, but that was quite frightening to go through that. So that was one thing. It was like I had a little bit more hesitation to go on it than the second time than the first. So I get you there. I guess there's no specific age on when you have to be over being afraid of something or wanting to eat a churro instead. Which that's not a bad a bad alternative for sure.
Yeah,
So.
and my friend John, like I said, my friend who lives out there in California, every time he goes to Disneyland, he makes sure he finds that churro stand, which is still there outside of the Haunted Mansion. He goes and always takes a picture of him or his wife or his kids eating churros and texts it to me to rub it in.
Yep. You're like, can you just box one of those up and send it to me, right?
Please, yeah.
Let's see. So, I think so. Going along with that, which we may have already answered here, a couple of them, but to ask you what some of your favorites were. So, favorite snack goes along with that. I think your
No, it's not. You know, churro would be it. I do like a churro.
Okay.
The Mickey pretzels close because I'm more of a salty guy than I am a sweet guy.
Okay.
But this past trip we found because we just did the Disney Parents Panel, just did the best thing we've ever eaten. Right. We just did that list, and mine was at Sleepy Hollow. They make a churro ice cream sandwich. So it's a churro bun and another churro bun with a scoop of vanilla ice cream in between, and it's mind blowing. Like I was like, I want to come back every day and just have that. So that's my favorite snack for sure.
Yeah, I am not sad when I think that, you know, when you go to the Magic Kingdom later, and that a lot of times that's what we go in like later and try to take advantage of like the extra extended hours when they have extended hours, and when the crowds are a little bit lighter, and the Sleepy Hollow is one of the few things that's open, and as far as, you know, food at that point in the night.
Okay.
And so I'm not sorry about that. Yeah, that
I love it.
It's always amazing. And I need to check in more often with them of like what amazing snacks they come up with. They had and it keeps going on and off. I don't know if we'll see if they have it when, you know, Disney World reopens here soon. But they were trying to make like a version of the Disneyland corn dog for a little bit there, and it wasn't quite the same. It was good. It was very good, but it wasn't quite the same. But I will recommend anything.
Yeah, they had that when I was there. They had it was a foot long hot dog.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice. And I really like your choice for resort. So what, and you can change it too from what you put on my list here. But what's your favorite resort?
Yeah. No, it's Caribbean Beach.
Okay. All right.
It's going to be Caribbean Beach, and the Skyliner now being attached to the Caribbean Beach makes it even more so a no-brainer. I've stayed at the All-Star resorts. You know, when I was, like I said, I went a couple of times with friends in my 20s, and that was pretty much whatever we could say. Like we were this close to camping, you know, like we were this close to camping at Fort Wilderness. But we stayed at the All-Star Resort, which is fine, but it kind of feels like a room. You know, like it doesn't feel like a resort. Caribbean Beach kind of feels like a resort. You know, it kind of really has the all-inclusive feel. And now they've done so much to it. The whole Centertown market that they have there is unbelievable. Some of the best food I had there was when we were too tired to get back to the park, and we just ate at their quick service. And they had a Cuban sandwich, which blew my mind. It was so good. But then their pool is great, the pirate pool with the cannons that shoot water, and they've got a couple water slides that go into it, which is a lot of fun. And then each little island group has their own pool, so you can have like a quiet pool, which is great. There's no huge elevators. There's only 2 floors. So a lot of people, one of the things they'll say is that they don't like Caribbean Beach because you have to walk up the flight of stairs. To me, 10 steps is a lot better than waiting in the lobby for the next elevator to come down and stuff on and go down a really long hallway. And you know, there's palm trees everywhere, and now it's the hub of the Skyliner. So it's 12 minutes to Epcot International Gateway. I have a fly in here; it's driving me crazy. You know, 12 minutes to the International Gateway, and it's 5 minutes to Hollywood Studios, and barely any wait to get on this. So you're not waiting for a bus to go to these 2 parks, which I absolutely love. And it's far enough away. I mean, people say, well, it's a kind of a sprawling resort, right? The rooms are like really spread out.
Mhm.
But I kind of like that. I kind of like the walk in the morning to go get some breakfast food across the bridge. You go across the water, but
Mhm.
there's beaches and there's hammocks and there's playground, and they do movies at night, and they do campground, campfire, and they do so many activities around the pool. It makes you feel like if I had to stay 3 days of only at the resort, I would be fine.
Yeah.
We'd have a lot of fun, and it's pretty close to like I said, it's close to the parks that we really like. It's like a 20-minute bus ride to Magic Kingdom.
Mhm.
But what you can do is you just take the Skyliner to Epcot, eat your way through Epcot, and then take the monorail to the Magic
Yep.
Kingdom. You can avoid the buses almost altogether, except for the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, that is always a goal of mine, is to um, avoid having to fold strollers. So if I can
Oh,
find a pathway from like the friendships and
mm-hmm,
this my unfortunately my stroller is just slightly too wide to fit into the Skyliner without
mm-hmm.
having to fold it up. But I'll take that because I can fold it, and it's an individual cabin, so I don't have to like carry it
Right.
above a number of people before where I might
Or have it like
accidentally hit
sitting
them
on
with
your
it.
chest on the
Yes.
bus because there's nowhere to put it. Yeah,
Yep.
we use a double stroller.
Yes, me
Um,
too.
so
Yeah.
same, yeah. So it's just too big.
Yeah. but uh but yeah, I mean, we when we've stayed a couple times there, just for like short periods of time,
Mm-hmm.
and but I we stayed there recently for the Wine and Dine half marathon, and that was great. To have the proximity to, so I definitely recommend it for that. Like our room that we had, like the Skyliner was going over it,
Yeah.
and the station was pretty close, but I was like driving around to the different race sections, and it was really really convenient for that side of things.
Did you find that there was noise from them in your room? Was
No,
it
no,
distracting?
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it was just I think it's like a general hum. I almost find it soothing, the the hum
Yeah,
of the
it's nothing more than
Skyliner.
like
Yeah,
the air conditioner makes.
right.
It's really not, except for
Hmm.
sometimes when it's like making the announcements.
Right.
You hear it sometimes you're like bing bong. And,
Yeah, that might be a little bit different if you're coming in right over your room, and
mhm.
you're hearing the same announcement over and over again. And
Yeah.
I think I'm going crazy now. But we found ourselves like there for like you said, the food is just amazing
Yeah.
there. The quick service, and we really like I actually haven't been in the pool there, but the pool area, and I always forget the name of it, but right outside Sebastian's Bistro,
Hmm.
the little bar food
Yep.
area, like it has
Yeah.
its own. It's it's not table service, but it's not quick. It's like a hybrid because they bring you your food, but it's not. But you kind
It's
of
not
choose.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's great. I mean, everything from
yeah,
their grab and go, and they have a
mhm,
great gift shop there too.
yeah,
But their grab and go all the way up to Sebastian's Bistro. I mean, it's great food. It was
mhm,
never really known for great food because
right.
there was like a pizza place and there was like, it wasn't fantastic. But this last trip, I was blown away. I'll never stay
Mhm,
anywhere else, provided I can still afford it.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
I think now that eyeliner's attached to it, I bet you Caribbean next year is going to start going through the roof.
yeah. Well, we'll see about that. Hopefully it'll moderate. We'll stay moderate. But we'll see
I hope so.
how
I hope so.
that plays out. Yeah, I know that's like whether we stay at a resort or not. There's some that we end up at. I know that one, Wilderness Lodge, and then like Animal Kingdom Lodge. If
Yeah.
we have time, we'll end up at those. Just hanging, go hang out or take a rest or go
Yeah.
find food and things like that. So, um,
Animal
yeah.
Kingdom would probably be my second choice.
Okay.
I've never stayed there, but I love eating at Sanaa. I love
Hmm.
Boma, and the rooms are, second to none at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. I'd love to try that sometime, but my heart just keeps me at the Caribbean Beach.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Well, you got to go with what you like there for sure.
Right.
And um, and I think you mentioned going on, and we'll just talk about your favorite attraction real quick.
Yeah, it's Pirates. I love
Okay.
Pirates. I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to get on Pirates this ride because this trip, my
Mm-hmm.
son, who's now 6, is a very apprehensive child.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to know exactly what's going to happen at all times. So when we watch a movie, he wants to know how it ends before it
Mm-hmm.
even starts, you know. And he was just not a thrill of the dark rides. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't want to splash down on anything. First ride we went on was Small World. When we
Okay.
landed, that was the first ride because it's a dark ride, but it's like the most calm ride of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I thought it was a good introduction and it worked. He kind of got it. I tricked them kind of when we ate at the Royal Banquet Hall in Norway and at an 8:00 breakfast reservation, which means we were out at 9 right when
Mm-hmm.
Epcot opened, which means we were first in line to get on Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tricked them. I never told them that there was a splashdown at all in Frozen,
Yeah.
and let alone the fact that you go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went on that, and he realized it wasn't that bad. So our last day, he was like, "Dad, I think I'd like to try to go on Pirates."
Okay.
And I was so happy
Nice.
to be able to share that with him. And it turned out to be one of his favorite rides. So like father, like son, I just have always loved, I love the classic Disney rides.
Mm-hmm.
I have not gone on Rise of Resistance yet. If you ask me
Yeah.
this question after I get to go on that, it's probably going to be a different answer from what I see.
It might be.
But Pirates just has that
Yeah.
feel. I mean, it's got the song, it's got those voices of those, you know, those character actors
Mm-hmm.
that are in all, like the Haunted Mansion and all the other rides. It's got the great, you know, they updated it a little bit to put Jack Sparrow in there, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like those movies, but it still has a lot of that same classic feel that it was there when it opened.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little bit of thrill, a little bit of, it's great air conditioning. And that's a lot of fun. I've always loved Pirates.
Yeah, I think it, you know, that and like Haunted Mansion, the, you know, the lyrics in that Existencio was one of the Imagineers that in those. It's if you start listening to those, you're like, how did someone come up with those lyrics? But they work great. You know, they're just like, you know, they work throughout the ride. And you know, I know you could compare, you know, Pirates at different, you know, Disneyland versus Disney World, but you know, I like them both for their own reasons for sure. Yeah, and one of the things, you know, leading kind of into that, I was, you know, I think one of the things that I haven't addressed on like any of my podcast episodes, and I know you have a whole podcast episode that I definitely recommend listening to on, you know, bringing younger kids. So yeah, I'd love to talk with you about that for a little bit because I have some thoughts on it, and you know, but love to hear your thoughts that you have on taking younger kids, because I think
There's a
sometimes
question
people.
that
No,
you
go
kind
ahead.
of hear. No, I was going to say it's the question you hear most often when you say, "Hey, I'm this website that's here really dedicated to people with the younger kids," because there's lots of, you know, everyone's like, "And if they're between 10 and 12, they're really going to like this." I'm like, "Yeah, but what about like 3 and 5?" Because that's what we want to know. And so that's why I started it for the most part. And so I get that question all the time. Like, is it worth it? You know, like, isn't it a waste of money to bring little kids like that? And the quick answer is no, it's not. But you're not going to get the same out of it for each kid on how old they are. Obviously, when they're 12 or 14, they're going to have much stronger memories of the rides they go on or the experiences they have than they will if they're 1 or 3. But it wasn't about that. I mean, if I talk just about my 1-year-old, watching her in her little Belle dress, you know, twirl around when she got to meet Belle and show off her dress, and hey, we're the same. Like, you don't get that anywhere else. These characters and these storybooks that we've read them since they were, you know, a day old, are here and alive and in front of you. So little kids, you might spend a lot more time at Magic Kingdom than Epcot's Food and Wine Festival. But it's not about that. If you're going with the idea that this is for the kids, I don't think there's a bad age. I don't know what you think about it, but I don't think there's a bad age to bring kids. And especially the fact that if they're under 2 or under, they're free.
Yeah.
So what do you got to lose?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is one of my key points too is, you know, like you said, there's going to be a little bit different memory, but I found that my kids, you know, they remember a lot. Like
Mm.
they remember a lot. And, you know, um, my son, who, you know, we took when he was 2, which he was free, you know, to free.
Right.
It's a wonderful feeling to walk through that gate and not have a magic band. And there were probably times that we could have walked through the gate and they didn't. They're like, people didn't notice that he was, you know, younger or older or needed a magic band, but we didn't take advantage
Yeah.
of that. I think we might have done that one time legitimately when one of our sons had an annual pass that we just didn't have the card for, and they didn't, you know, pay attention to it, but we still had the legitimate pass, you know, that was
Hmm.
not
Yeah,
expired.
I had a lot of people suggest this because my daughter who was 3 at the time is
Mhm,
very, very tiny. And they
mhm,
said she can absolutely pass for under 3. Like you just don't say anything and just I'm
mhm.
like I can't I just can't do that. Like
Yeah,
I had a hard time with that.
yeah, well, I admire the character of that as
Yeah.
well, because I mean, if everybody did that, then they might just shut something
Right.
like that down. You know, there's definitely like, um, you know, abuses of some of those things. Like they just made, you know, some changes to like, um, you know, different acts, you know, special access to some of the rides and things
Hmm.
like that, and requirements for that because people, you know, would, yeah, in order to get faster in line, yeah, there'd be certain people that would, you know, take advantage of that
Right.
system. Um, so yeah, so don't take it. Yeah, don't don't do it if it's not to the right age. Um, but one of the benefits when they are that age, which, yeah, I miss that, is also, keep in mind like buffets and, all you care to eat, locations, they're also free. If you're at like a anything that's a la carte, you know, it's whatever food you buy. But if you go
Right. They
to,
can eat off your plate. Right.
yeah, but if there's, you know, but if it's a buffet or any sort of, and my son could eat, so we got our free, um, you know, even at that age, so we got our, took advantage of the
Hmm.
free all you care to eat and all you care to and buffets. So we felt like, you know, it evened out, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes when they were a little bit more expensive there. But so I would say that, and then just, um like I said again, you know, the different memories that they'll have at different ages, you know, they're gonna like certain things right now. Like my sons love to go on the horsies, you know, they call, yeah, can we go on the horsies this time? You know, no matter when we go. And like, you know, there was one time when we were just like getting to the park at the very last moment, and, you have all the potential attractions that they could go on, and, you know, many of them that they love, they wanted to go on the horsies. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
um, so it's, you know, that will probably change at some point,
Yeah.
in their lives. But if anybody asks if they remember it, if they're gonna appreciate it, I would say definitely yes. You know, my 2, like, you know, childhood, and one was more like a teenager trips. I went in 1991. Um,
Hmm.
I was like 8, and I really, yeah, I remember that trip pretty vividly. I realized I didn't remember it as vividly because I recently got a videotape of that, and I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff that we did.
Right. You're not gonna remember
and
all those things. Sure.
and I was like, it's cool that we did them, but yeah, and like extinct attractions and things like that. So I've had fun doing that. But, then and then in 2000, you know, got to go on a trip. I think it was like 15, 14, somewhere between 14 and 16 at that point. I should probably know that by math, but I'm not going to do the math right now,
It's
in my
late. Don't
head.
worry
Yeah.
about it.
And but yeah, I have different memories from those different trips and different things that, you know, we wanted to do. Like the Ninja Turtles were there at Hollywood Studios, which most people would be like, the
Wow.
Ninja Turtles, are you sure that the Ninja Turtles were there at Hollywood Studio? Like, yes, we have pictures,
Yeah.
the Ninja Turtles were there. But we may not have, that second trip probably wouldn't have cared as much about the Ninja Turtles. So you got to take advantage of what's there. And, some things may not be there. So later too. So, if you wait, you might miss, some awesome attraction that, later down the road is not available anymore. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
And it's harder for them to forget things too, because
Mhm.
we now have videos on our phones and pictures, and you make the Snapchat books, and you do all these things that they can go back and look at it all the
Mhm.
time and kind of refresh the memory. It's not like they have to create it new every time they go. They can go back and reference what they did, and
Mhm.
I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in a good age of that type of documentation of everything. Where, like on that 1991 trip, that was like the year of the camcorder, I think, or
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
years of the era of the camcorder, where everything was on video, the whole thing,
Right.
and because we had
Those
big,
little tapes. Those
yeah,
little.
little VHS-C tapes, and occasionally, depending on the situation, you got the bigger ones that had the full size VHS. I mean, those things can go for like 6 hours. So,
The shoulder held
yeah,
ones. Yeah.
might as well, take every bit of footage, which we had quite a bit. But then in like the 2000 trip, I know we took a video camera, but we didn't have that same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we didn't. I don't know if we have any video footage of Disney World, or even like camera footage, because the cameras weren't like
Mm.
great. You were still in film, so everything that you took, every
Yeah.
12 pictures, you got to develop
Or they were
that.
those little
Yeah,
digital cameras that you kind of had in your pocket that
yeah,
took really bad grainy
yeah.
video.
Yeah. So right now, I think is between those two, that we're getting back into everything's a little bit more documented and everything. And I remember to try to be in the moment a lot, but I also, when like my phone creates a memory for me,
Mm-hmm.
later, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
glad that I captured some video of that, so that
Yeah.
can remember it at a later time. Um, Yeah, so just kind of jumping into another topic here, I think one of the biggest things that you're doing in your um, with your stuff, and I'm trying to do with mine, is give people um, you know tips on how they can have the most positive Disney experience. And
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because there's a lot of times that you can be negative about Disney, but I appreciate the fact that you and the other dads that I'm talking to are um, very, very positive about everything that's because if you're paying the money, if you're taking the trip, why
Right.
not take the positive route versus any other
Absolutely.
option there. So going along with that, I'd ask you a couple questions about like um, what tips would you give um, other Disney dads to help them stay on that positive track throughout their experience.
Yeah. I remember some of the ones I told you, but
I can fill in
I
a little bit here if you,
I got,
yeah,
yeah. If I miss one, go back.
or you can
But
make up your own. Yeah, you
yeah,
can make up new ones or whatever. Yeah.
I think some of the more important ones. The most important one probably that I was told a couple different times, and it's so true, is that you're not going to do everything. If
Mhm.
you go and you're going to try, like, well, we want to go on every ride, and we want to go on every attraction and eat at every restaurant, and you're just not going to. There's no way to possibly do that in
Mhm.
one visit, unless you stay for a month. But you're not going to get a chance to do that in a 5-day, 6-day, which is what normally people go for.
Mhm.
So if you have that in mind, the second part is, if you're with especially little kids, is you have to listen to them. You can have this great plan. I had this great plan. I mean, this color coded Excel sheet and all these kinds of crazy
Mhm.
things. My book was dog-eared on every page of everything that I wanted to do. And we had our
Mhm.
fast passes and our advanced dining reservations and all these things. But you have to listen to the kids, because if the kids are getting tired, if the kids are starting to get to a point where they're scared of the characters instead of embracing the characters, if they are in line for just too long for something, or they need to eat and they don't care that your ADR is in an hour. They need to eat right now.
Yeah.
Those are all things that if you don't listen to them, you're going to start ruining it. So you have to, I had to, about a day and a half after being there, I had to really stop myself and listen to what they were trying to tell me. And know that, okay, it's time to slow down, or it's time to do this. And that other big thing is leave the park. We would go in and we would rope drop first thing, and we would go and do the rides that we really wanted to do. My kids are early risers anyway, so it didn't matter. We were there waking up at the same time anyway, hop on a Skyliner or the bus and go to the park and do whatever you wanted to do, have an early lunch, and then get the heck out. While the masses and the throngs of people arrive between 11 and 1, the sun is at its highest and it's the hottest. And all the rides and restaurants are jam-packed full of people. We were hanging out at the pool, resting. Or we brought my Apple TV and hooked it up to the TV in the room, watched Disney Plus, for the afternoon, kind of sit in the air conditioning. And then we'd game up, we'd get dressed, we'd go and we'd hit another park at nighttime, have dinner, do rides for the last 2 hours while the parks were open. Or if it was extended hours, we would stay a little bit, watch the fireworks if we wanted to. The kids were up to it, which they were every night. I was shocked. Every night they wanted to see whatever the night extravagance, whatever park we were in. But it's definitely that respite in the middle of the day allowed us not to be that family on the bus with the melting kids and the, the popped Mickey balloon and the cotton candy smeared all over their face and the crying and the screaming and the flailing on the floor. Because those people, they're trying to do everything and they're trying to push these poor little kids. I mean, you walk about 10 to 12 miles, 10 to 14 miles a day if you're going in the parks all day long. And those little kids, those little legs, they're feeling it 28 miles, 30 miles. And so you got to listen to them. And that's what's going to help make it special. Because if you stop and embrace the moments and embrace the quiet time, or just walking from here to there, passing these little things that you might not see, those little statues or the hidden Mickeys or whatever it is, it's all about taking the time to not just try to run from, I have a fast pass at Dumbo and I got to then run across the park and go on Jungle Cruise. That's a crazy marathon across the park, and you're dragging these poor little kids who just want to sit down. So I think that is the key. And then we're really good sneakers.
Yeah.
Really good sneakers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I get them?
Yeah, I think you mentioned something about trying to keep your fast passes and ADRs in similar areas in the park.
Similar spots. Yeah.
But I mean, I would definitely say that. I definitely have like what I've classified, and I'll try out new ones from time to time. But like Disney footwear, and then I'll have like a backup pair of shoes. My thing is, and if I can do it midday, that's great. But if I, especially if I'm on a multi-day trip, I will wear. I will definitely be the one that brings multiple pairs of shoes, so I can have different ones on different days. So they, especially like blister's sake or whatever,
rain.
Yeah. And rain. Yes. Having a backup pair is always good.
Yeah. It's going to rain. It's Florida. It's going to rain.
Yep. Yeah. Especially if you're there in the summer, it will probably rain somewhere, and you just got to be, prepared for it. But sometimes, it may, the other side of that is, it may look like it's going to rain and you just got to keep going because, maybe look like impending doom and there's no rain that comes down. And I'll take those days.
Or it comes and goes very fast.
I'll take those days where it like does a downpour, we go into a ride or attraction, and then we come out and like everybody's cleared out of the park and we're like, this is nice.
Yeah.
More steamy.
I agree.
Sometimes, but as the water hits the concrete, but other than that, it's good. And I had a thought of a question I was going to ask you, but I can't remember it. So I'm going to go to one of the ones on the list here, and let's see if this matches up to what you put on the list too. We're
Okay.
testing you here on on if it changes. No, what Disney character best represents you? Best
Genie.
Disney then. Genie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been asked that question quite a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Genie. Aladdin came out when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the theater program. I was a theater guy, performing guy, and there's no performer that I've ever seen quite like Robin Williams, and what he brought to that character. But what I love about that character is his dedication to his master was necessary, and it was by law,
Mm-hmm.
of the rule. But it wasn't that. It was his loyalty to Aladdin because he cared about him. So
Mm-hmm.
like he's funny and he can, but he's there for people, and that's kind of what I've always tried to base my life to be around. Is that, like, if you need a good laugh, I'm the guy you can call.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need me to be serious and help you get out of a bind, I can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I've always loved Genie for that. I don't think that, and he kind of breaks that fourth wall, like, which I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
He has like in jokes with the audience during the movie, which I absolutely adore to do, and have in jokes with people, or have friends who know you very well. You can do, like, he did impersonations. He did everything Robin Williams
Mm-hmm.
does, and to have that in a Disney character and have the heart of Robin Williams with the magic of a Disney character is just what I love to be funny and
Mm-hmm.
be helpful, and no one embodies that the way that Genie did it to me. I thought Genie was great. I still think he is great.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that is a good description of one Genie, and why why it would be an honor to be
Yeah.
associated with him as a Disney dad. So um,
He was like a
yeah,
dad to Aladdin, He
yeah.
was like the big brother or the dad. Yeah, I think he
I
was.
hadn't really
Because
thought
you don't
about
see
that.
there
Yeah.
aren't a whole lot of like great supportive dads in Disney. There's
Mm-hmm.
not a history of that. There's Crazy Maurice, and there's Moana's dad who refuses to let her do the one thing she wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Zeus, who's just like, sorry, there's a rule, can't have you here anymore. See ya. But
Mm-hmm.
there's not a whole lot of that. King Triton, there's some, but the Genie has more of the father I want to be than pretty much anyone else in the Disney
Gotcha.
lore there.
Yeah, I think I had said Wally for mine. For
Mm-hmm.
um, for the dedication, side of things, his ingenuity and being able to figure things out, um, and just his humbleness in how he does things too, which I think Genie has. Even though Genie is out there and, like, on most of the time, he definitely has that humbleness too. So that's a cool aspect of Genie as well.
My favorite thing he does in the whole movie is when he tells Aladdin, "I can't help you
Mm-hmm.
because now Jafar is my master," and Jafar sends Prince Ali Abubu flying
Mm-hmm.
off into Alaska or the tundra somewhere, but Genie still turns around and goes like poof to the magic carpet to
Mm-hmm.
send magic carpet to go help him.
Yeah.
So like, even though he's got this unbreakable bond now to Jafar, it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he needed to help Aladdin, so he could try. It's a deep character analysis of Genie. Probably one that hasn't been made all that often, but
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, we didn't know we were gonna get into that topic, today when we started it, but that's okay. Yeah.
It's a little bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I've really enjoyed getting a chance to ask some questions. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask me?
I do. So
Okay.
how you go more often, and your wife is just as Disney Disney-fied as you are. She's a
Mm-hmm.
part of our Disney Parents panel too. And by the way, she takes the most gorgeous pictures. I absolutely
Well,
love using her pictures in the lists. It makes me so happy. I tell her that all the time. But so going more often, what are some of the things that still remain exciting to you? Like you said, the horses, right? But what else kind of like is that thing like we just have to do this every time and it's still exciting to us every time we go?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably determined by the trip, but I think and we don't do this as often as I would like, but like um, I will always, like, if you go to Epcot, I will always be interested in going in any of the attractions or 3D, 360 shows. And and not everybody wants to go, always to the American Adventure because it's fairly long, and there may be other things we have planned to do, and but any of those attractions, I think, for me are always exciting to go to because
That's cool.
Because it's such an original idea, the and the like and I know we've talked about this in some of these lists multiple times, and I've sent you pictures on it, and I'm blanking on the name, but the in Mexico, the
yes
attraction there, the
yes, the Gran Fiesta tour.
Grand Fiesta, yes. So so that, like, just that the ride is built into the restaurant and everything, which I think I forget, sometimes. And like same thing with like Living with the Land, like those attractions are. I could go on Living with the Land and look at the twisty tomato plants anytime you want me to. I'll go. Yeah, it's even better.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So so that stuff doesn't get old for me. I think as a family, Small World is probably one of our. If we don't do it, we're probably going to hear about it. And if we didn't do it, it was probably because there was an extraordinarily long line, or we couldn't get a fast pass for it to on a long line day. But yeah, we often end our trips on Small World, and then we try to sneak in the horses at the same time. My sons just love that. Like, they're in awe the whole time. They wave to the ride operator at the beginning. If the people that, speaking of rides that are you don't really realize are in are kind of built into the restaurant, like from the Pinocchio's
Village House.
Yes, that.
Yes.
And if you see people up there with the signs, they're interested in that, and they actually like act out, and they can do this even if they're not in Small World, but they act out the animatronics, which is the coolest thing to see. And then it's not just like acting it out like, oh, I'm moving my arms. Like, they act out each individual animatronic as we go through each of the scenes, and they know, they have their favorites.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I bet if you told them right now to go through the scenes and gave them what area of Small World we were in, they could do the specific actions of that of
Very
those
cool.
particular animatronics. And so I think that is our must do, because it's classic Disney. It's just beautiful, and I know some people don't like the song, but I'll take that song all day. That's
it's something special about it. Absolutely. Like I said, it was the first ride I took my kids on. It's what I wanted to introduce them to. I think it's as classically endearing Disney as anything else there.
Yeah, and I remember there was one time when like we live closer now, but we had annual passes when we were probably about 6 hours away from
Hmm.
Disney, and there was a time when my wife had gone ahead to like a, I don't remember if we traveled together, but I think it was one time when she went ahead to a conference and flew down there to Disney World to do the conference, and then we were going to go down there and meet her.
Hmm.
So I picked my son up from his preschool, and this was early on when he didn't have a whole lot of speech, but he would sing a lot, and he just randomly say things sometimes. But on the day that we were going, like I picked him up, and then the next thing we were going to do is drives, from there to head down to Disney World. He started singing Small World. Um,
Yeah.
and that was a magical moment for me. I realized after that they in his preschool they had a tape or CD where they played Small World, so
Hmm.
that's where it was actually coming from. But
Oh,
that didn't diminish the magic for me in the moment, where I
it
was like,
carries
how
over.
does he know that we're that we're heading to Disney? So
Very
um,
cool.
yeah, so it definitely is there. And every time we go in there now, I know not everybody has seen the movie Tomorrowland, but so I won't give it away. But I always feel like there's going to be something. If there's any place in Disney where there could be something crazy happen, where you enter some sort of other land um, through that, it's going to be
Hmm.
through Small World. So I'm always yeah, on the lookout for that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I think we've kind of exhausted some of our questions here, and
Good.
I really enjoyed getting a chance to just talk with you a little bit more. I know we talked through Instagram a little bit, and
Hmm. Same,
texting there, and we're just definitely going to have to do this again. But I'll go
please.
ahead and wrap up this special Father's Day episode for now, and uh, Keith, if you want to go ahead and mention everything you're doing and where people can find you one
Sure.
more time, and
Yeah.
we'll
First,
wrap up from
first,
here.
thanks so much for having me on for Father's Day week. It's really cool. I hope we get to do this often and again, and I
Hmm.
hope we actually get to hang out in the park someday, because I think that would
Yeah.
be a ton of fun. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at DADVenture Disney, and DADVentureDisney.com is the website. On there, you can find our podcast. We're on iTunes and Stitcher and TuneIn and Google and everywhere else you can find
Hmm.
podcasts. And also on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel where mostly I spend the time doing Ask Dad Venture questions, where people ask me specific questions and I kind of riff off on that for 10 or 12 minutes, which is a lot of fun to do too. So you can find me in all those places. And again, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, yep. And again, thank you for being on, and I appreciate being a part of the parents panel, and
Mm.
helping us find some other Disney, for me, other Disney loving dads, and just Disney loving families there too. So it's
Yeah,
great to have that camaraderie throughout the week. And
love it.
but yeah, so I'll wrap up from here. Again, for I keep almost saying it wrong. Dads of Adventure, which is my thing. Yeah. Dads of Adventure. Um, you can find us at Dads of Adventure for Instagram, Facebook, and I'll also admit that Twitter right now I'm set up to Instagram to send things to Twitter. But join us on all those places, because you never know when we're going to add some additional things. I forgot to mention before that I have randomly joined TikTok and are throwing some videos up there too, to see how that goes. Everything from a quick a video about where we all dressed up as pirates to I got we have a Mickey Jack in the Box that I just did since TikTok's a little crazy with the videos they have. I just, did the Jack in the Box on a video, and that one got a couple more hits than some of the ones that I thought would be good. So anyway, that's TikTok. So I'm there too. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm there. And then also go to dadsofadventure.com to sign up for the email newsletter and any updates that we're doing there. And because that's the best place for us to be able to reach you. And we'd love for you to check out the membership site, and we'll talk more about that in a couple other episodes here. But join us there. We'd love to have you. And of course, rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. We just joined Spotify, and you might be listening on iHeartRadio. I don't know, depending on when and if that got approved, recently. And of course on YouTube, where we share not just Dads of Adventure stuff, but some of our family adventures as well, and other reviews of different travel items and adventures at the DreamsMagicAdventure YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us in all those places, and thanks for joining us for this episode. And we'll end this just as we normally do by saying, go have an adventure with your family.